Hi guys, it is Belle here and it is time for day 16 of Defember 25, hosted by Louise Heinzel and Barbara over at 49 Dragonflies. Links to them will, as always, will be down below in the description box. And don't forget, this year I have done a swap with the lovely Tiff over at Amethyst Raven. So please go check her out too and see what she is making with some of the bits I sent her. And again, her video will be linked in the description box. So today's prompt is shaker tag and moondust. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm going to ignore part of the prompt. So in my head, I kept seeing shaker and moondust. So that's what I've planned. This is not going to be a tag because I don't know how I want to use these pieces, because they could end up a little bit chunky. And if they do, they may work better as journal covers, like on the front of a journal cover or something like that. So we're just going to make a shaker today and use some moon dust-esque stuff in it. And I love making shakers. I've made a lot of shakers, so we're just going to do that. I have some pieces that Tiff sent me, including this lovely grungy background. I wanted to make sure that I've still got some left because there is a prompt coming up that I know I want to use some of that on. I have some of these Tim Holtz windows because we're going to do a window one, but this I am going to cut. It could be a little bit difficult, but there we go. So I'm going to use those. I have got some packaging paper. We're only going to make 2 today, and I also have some of the Tim Holtz transparency with the holes in it, and I can hear you going, but Belle, it's a shaker card, they've got holes. I know, that's why we have the packing paper. I have some grungy paper that I was dyeing. If you saw me make, which hopefully you did, what was it called? It was the altered envelope and coffee mug stains. I used tiny little envelopes in there, this size. And so this was in my spray box. It's this beautiful music paper that now is beautifully grungy. Also has some real vintage tape on that side. So we're going to be using some of that. I'm not going to do too much decorating because, as I said, I don't know how I'm actually going to use these. I may do some stamping. Oh, I also have some sparkles and some glitter. So there's all that. But the first thing I need to do is I need to cut this down. So I want to cut this bit off. So you can see I've cut that bit off and we now have this bit left. I don't know what I'll use that for, but I will use it for something. And I was just wondering if I want this to be a bit sturdier. We've got some black card. I'm going to need more. Sorry, I'm just grabbing. Actually, do you know what? Let's use some craft card. I think that might work a little bit better and it doesn't matter. Now you can easily turn these into a tag shape. And realistically, if I was to do that, I would want them to be more decorated. But we're just going to do a little bit of decorating. I need to ink up this edge because you can see the cardboard, so that's going to need to be inked up. So I need to cut this. I'm hoping this will fit in here. Oh, are you kidding me? It's just slightly too big. So I'm going to do this. So yeah, I'm ignoring the tag bit and I feel okay about that. I feel okay. So we got that for that one, and I think I'll call this small 4 so that I know I've got that one. And then this one, I wonder if this would work better. I mean, I'm obviously going to be able to see the size quite well, but it also doesn't hurt to label them up, guys. And this will definitely work with my small paper trimmer. If you don't have a Tim Holtz window, you can very easily make your own. I have done it before. You could literally take some card like this and cut out the pieces. You might have a wood embossing folder, which is something I've done before. So, yeah, there's lots of ways to make them yourself. But I have several of these and I don't really use them. The other thing you're going to need is some foam tape. I'm a little bit... I would have preferred a different kind of foam tape. This is going to take forever, these little ones, but this is what I've got. So this is what I am going to use. Now, I think on the small one, I want some of my grungy paper. And then on the larger one, I'm going to use some of Tiff's amazing paper on there. So it looks a bit dark, a bit dreary, you know. Again, so easy to make into a tag, guys, and I'm sure it would have been lovely to make a large tag, super decorated, but I have a lot of grungy tags on my channel if that is what you would like to see me decorate. But for this, I'm just going to fully embrace the idea of compartmental making and just do the actual shaker and the moon dust. Let's grab Tiff's beautiful purple. It's actually so delicious. In this, because she's, this is almost her, you know when you're making jelly prints and you have some on your brayer, it's that. So I can actually see some of the words almost. Can you see that? I'm so going to use that. But then I also really love this bit because it's got more colour. I don't know. We're going to use this bit. Do I want it this way? I think I'll have it this way. This will give me more space to work with. And I do want that for a future prompt. At least one future prompt. So thinking about it, she actually put like a hanky box in. That's something she sent me in the swap. That would have been good for the shaker, and it would have been good for the card, so I wouldn't have had to use the craft card. Sorry if I was doing that off camera. I'm trying to get that measured up really well. So I've had a few questions about the glue I use. I use the Cosmic Shimmer Specialist acrylic glue. It wasn't as easy to get art glitter glue in this country here in the UK. I know you can now, you can get it off places like Amazon, but I also know it's very temperature reliant and it tends to stick quite quickly. I have been using this for years. And for me, this works really well. It literally says it's acrylic glue, dries clear, perfect for glitter, paper, card, and other things. I've used it with metal, thick card, fabric, acetate, and I've never had an issue. So, a few of you were asking. I used to always, that's coming up because of that. I used to always get it off Craft Stash. But as many of you here in the UK will know, Craft Stash sadly closed down this year, which, yeah, just makes me so sad. So now I do have to get it off Amazon. But yeah, this is the glue I use. So I have had a few people ask. I like it because it doesn't dry straight away, but it does dry quite quickly. And I know it's going to hold acetate and things when I use that, and vellum, which I know not all glues do. And I know it dries clear for the most part. I would say on fabric, depending on how thin your fabric is, could be an issue. But I tend to then put my glue on a smooth surface like a glass mat or something like that, spread it out, get a paintbrush and thinly adhere it to whatever fabric. Just look how amazing that is. Whatever fabric I'm using. So it's just a little tip. I know most people love the craft, the art glitter glue, but as it wasn't something I could regularly get hold of. And also Craft Stash used to do points and that. So you used to be able to, if you bought things, you'd get points and then that meant discount. But yeah, it's just sad that they have gone out of business. And it is more expensive, even without the points, on Amazon. It was much cheaper on Craft Stash. So yeah, that's sad. Okay, I'm going to come in with some Black Soot Distress ink, which really needs, first of all, I need a new sponge, and secondly, I mean, you're not going to see most of this, but I want these edges not to have any of the craft card or anything like that. So I'm going to come on with that. I love a shaker card. I've made shaker pockets in my journals before. All sorts of fun things. But with this one, I wanted to do something a bit chunkier. Not too chunky. But as much as I love... Sorry, that didn't look straight. As much as I love a chunky journal, I don't want it so... Yeah, I didn't want to make a tag that was going to be over chunky. So, I just want to come in and just add a bit of ink in those white spaces. Not too much, but a little bit. And I'm also going to come on, especially on this one, and just add some ink here, because I don't want to see that grey core. Chipboard core. I don't want to see that, which I'm going to see because I've cut it in half. So there's that and this one. So these would look great on a journal cover, and that's what I am thinking. So we have these now. I want to do some stamping. So one of my favourite things to do, which most of you will already know, is I love doing script. Stamp, I'm going to bring it on in Stays On. I was thinking of adding some embossing, and I'm just going to sort of bring it on in areas. Oh, I love it so much. I mean, it's just simple, but it's one of my favourite things to add into backgrounds. So yeah, I'm just going to bring that on. I don't want to put it completely down flat because yeah, it's just not what I want to do. So it really is that simple. So we've got some of that, and I'm just wondering, where's that new texture stamp by Tony? I used this in yesterday's video. So CBT0035 Textures 2 by Crafty by Tony. And I'm just wondering, I just feel like I want a little bit of texture in the background. I don't know what kind. It doesn't have to be overtly realistic. Oh, I didn't realise that circle was attached to that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's one of those that you can cut it off if you don't need that bit. But I literally just want the lines on this. So I'm going to bring this in. Oh, and I am going to stamp off, because I always say, if you're using a new stamp, sometimes it just needs to be warmed up. That one worked perfectly. Okay, let's bring this in. Right, it's this way around. Okay, and just bring it in areas. Oh, I just love it. And again, it doesn't have to... You could use all sorts of stamps in the background for this. And you could add trees and all sorts of things. I mean, I was thinking that might be in the middle. So let's have a look. Yeah, that covers that up completely. So I'm just going to move it over. I was thinking of adding some trees. Yeah. Let's have a look at this one. depending where I want it. Okay, that's good. I think actually I want a little bit more just there. Yep, I do. Put the lid on the StazOn bell. That is how they dry out and you end up needing more. What do I want? I feel like I want some marks. What do I want? I don't know. That might be it. That might be what I want. We're going to add other bits to it, and then if I need more, I will continue to add more. Let's move that back in there. Okay, I'm trying to stay ordered today. Shocking, I know. So now I need a moon, and I'm wondering about using some of this craft paper that I need a back that Tiff sent me. So this is the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous set. It is called Sketch Manor CMS408. I love it. I particularly love these trees, and I could actually come in with those in maybe some hickory smoke or something, but I am taking it for the moon. And you can see I've never used this moon. I've used this and these, but I've never used the moon. And I want the moon to be embossed on here. So let me get my embossing pad, my Versamark embossing pad. We're going to try it again. It's not been used, so I'm hoping if I pick that up I can see some of the shine on there. I really want to get, I've had this embossing pad, I've never brought a new one, so I've had this at least, I want to say 10 years, and it's doing well. Now here's the thing, I'm going to put this on here, and very quickly, oh yeah, you can see the moon on there, very quickly, because of how absorbent this paper is, I'm going to bring in some glow in the dark embossing powder. Now I don't know how this is going to look, and whether I actually want a different colour paper. I was going to use this, but now looking at it, I'm wondering if I want a slightly different coloured paper, maybe a black. Let me emboss this. So this is what it looks like. It's left this almost wet look to the moon. I'm going to cut it out and see if I like it, because if I don't, we can put it on something else. But what using the powder will do is it will make this moon glow. And we all know I love my glow in the dark embossing powder. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I hope you are enjoying my videos and choose to stick around. I really appreciate you watching. But you won't know that glow in the dark is one of my favourite things to do. And certainly in my Oddtober this year, it's almost the only thing. It's not the only thing, but I was adding a lot of glow in the dark. Now, do I like that moon? I mean, it doesn't look so much like a moon, does it? And I don't really want to add too much ink around it. Not too much, because obviously I want it to glow in the dark. If it does, I'll put a picture here. But I don't want it to be quite so. I mean, I do kind of like it. What colour would work? I don't want to add black, and I don't want it to be white. I just want it to glow. We're going to add it with this one and then see what I think. That's what we're going to do, because why not? That's what I say. So we're going to add it with this one. So it's going to glue about there. And the thing is, I do need this glued down really well, because obviously if we are going to be putting sequins and things in here, then these edges need to be fully glued. I love the moon. I love taking photos of the moon. I've got some really good photos that I have taken over the years. Now, what I'm wondering is, just to make this stand out a little bit, is I'm wondering whether to come in with my Sharpie. So let's try that first, very gently, because the other thing could be I could come in with my Stabilo pencil. Oh dear, I think I went over a little bit of glue with that. So I could come in with my Stabilo pencil and sort of smudge it a little bit, which might be nice. It's just going to give it a little bit of dimension. I need to not be going over the glue. Oh no, did I go over the glue? Maybe wait for your glue to dry before doing this. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, that does not want to work for me right now because I, like a silly Billy, went over the glue. So we're going to come in with my Stabilo Aqua pencil. Just a little bit. I just want it to stand out because the colours are very similar. There's lots of colours you could do for the moon. I do not want, as I said, the moon to be too bright. That is not what I am looking for. So this is probably going to work for me. Now I just need a paintbrush. And I just want, I've dabbed some water on this, by the way, guys. I just want to go around to give it a little bit of dimension behind, and it can go onto the moon a little bit. I don't mind that. A few years ago, had a go at watercolouring moons, and I was using them for projects, and do you know what? I loved it. I am not good with watercolours. I am not a drawer or anything by any means, but I remember I followed a YouTube tutorial. It was probably about 3 years ago now, and I made about 3 of them, and they were really good. And I think I want to make more, but in different sizes, to just kind of have them in my stash for things like this. See, I think that stands out a lot more now. So I might have to pull you down a little bit so you can see, zoom you in. There we go. So I think that works. Actually, I really love that on the brown. So I am going to do that for the next one. Okay, so I did exactly the same, but I did it off camera. You didn't need to see me do it twice. And what's really interesting is, because of the different backgrounds, this has paint on it and it's on a magazine. This is on vintage music paper, and it's also got oxide inks on it. The moon outline with the Stabilo pencil and the water acts differently. So this moon definitely looks darker. I want this to be the bottom. This moon definitely looks darker, but they both look good. I hope you agree. So now what I'm wondering about doing is bringing in this stamp set again. I was going to use some die cuts, but once again, die cuts can be a little bit difficult because you want to make sure that they are stuck down really, really well. So I'm going to bring in the lightning / creepy tree. That's what I'm going to do. And I am going to use my Versamark watercolour pad again. And I am going to just come in at an angle like that with this. Let's hope I can see that on there. Yes, I can. Always check that, see if there's any shimmer and shine. And then I'm going to add, I could add black sparkle. That would work really well. But I'm going to add hickory smoke glaze because that is what I have to hand So again, it's going to blend, but it's up to you how much you want things to stand out and how much you don't want them to stand out. So, you know, just do what works for you. Oh my gosh, haven't even embossed it. Once I emboss it, it's probably going to look lighter than it already does. So this is the Hickory Smoke embossing glaze. Let me just give you the number, although the lid for the Hickory Smoke one, unlike my other glaze, is really a bit of a problem to get back on. Okay, let me find the number for this. I'm going to have to do this off camera. There you go. TDE 70993. Thank goodness for my new glasses. So I am going to heat emboss both of these now. You can already see, I hope, the shine on there. Don't they look fantastic? Or I think they do anyway. Brilliant. So we have all of that. Let me just put my stamp away. Let me just do that. Hold on. This needs to have the embossing taken off it. Look at this. The Tim Holtz stamp that actually still sticks on to its back packaging. Not because of anything Tim Holtz does, but because I am really bad at sticking things back on. And so half of my Tim Holtz stamp sets are all over the place. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm only going to do a little bit on this on camera. You don't need to see me do all of it. But I am going to take these and I am going to actually put them onto here. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no, you're not. I feel like I'm in a British panto. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, no, you're not. It's behind you. If you're in the UK and watch pantos, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, I apologise. It's a tradition here in the UK that every year at Christmas time, all the local areas put on a pantomime. They're usually based on fairy tales or children's stories like Cinderella or a lot of Cinderella ones or anything like that. And there's always lines in them like, it's behind you. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. So that's what I'm kind of talking about. If you're like, what are you talking about? And if you still don't know what I'm talking about, you could look that up. I'm sure there is YouTube about them or other mediums. It's a huge tradition here in the UK. So I'm going to take my Tim Holtz acetate. That is what I forgot. I am going to glue this onto here. Now, again, this is what I always say when you're using any kind of glossy surface or acetate. Put some glue of your choice and then come in with something like, not that one, but like a paintbrush. So this one's actually wet, so I'm trying to dry it, or your finger, whatever works, and smush it. That way, I probably shouldn't have used a wet paintbrush, so we're going to see if this even glues. That way, it's not going to smush on your piece. And you're not going to have glue seeping to the pieces that you don't want it seeping to. I'm just going to really press that down. We're going to do exactly the same over here. And yeah, you can use your finger for this or anything else. I just really believe in making sure your glue is flat and spread out so that it does not seep, because honestly, if you get glue seeping in between acetate in particular, first of all, it is a nightmare to remove off acetate, and secondly, or anything glossy like that, and secondly, if you get it in between a project, it just never dries. It's just a thing. and it just doesn't, which is not what you want when you've worked hard on a project and suddenly there's glue that's just sitting there not drying. I'm already loving it. Doo-doo. Let me move that. Oh yes, right. Try not to get glue fingers on here either. So where are my wet wipes? So I can keep my fingers free of glue while I'm doing this. Okay, now this one is dry. Now we're going to come on with the second piece of acetate. You may not be able to see, it's here. There's the shine. We're going to come on with the second piece of acetate. And again, this is where you really, really want to make sure you are spreading that glue out. Because any glossy surface, it's just going to want to spread and move. And again, I've just put my paintbrush back in the water. And I don't want to get water on this bit. And now we're going to use, again, just going to wash my fingers off this piece of acetate, because you can't have a shaker if all the shaking bits super carefully fall out, can you guys? I mean, that's not a shaker card then, is it? It's actually moving. So there's a hole on this side, but not on the other. I'm going to do the same on here whilst that is drying. Oh, I've got some glue on my finger. Really don't want it on the inside of this. I'm just going to put this around. Now, if you know me, you will know that one of the things I love to do is put things through the little holes in the windows. Usually plants and things like that. It's just a thing I love to do, but we're not doing any of that. I know. I'm sure some of you may be disappointed. I'm not going to really grunge this up, but this is what, as I said, I just want to have it for future projects. Okay, let's move that over. And even though I've smushed that, it's still moving slightly. So I'm really pleased that I mainly smushed it, because it's not moving where I don't want it. Right, we're going to leave that to dry. And then we're going to come on and trim this down. Let me get my scissors. We will have our window. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could try and trim beforehand. I just thought this would be easier, I say, as my scissors don't want to cut through that bit. Oh, do you know why? Because I'm actually cutting part of the window. Oh, Belle. It was all going so well as well. Try not cutting your window, Belle. Oh, there you go. That came up a little bit because it wasn't fully dry yet, but I just pressed that back down. That's fine. Okay, let's come on with this one, and let's try not to cut the window again, shall we? Okay, come on. That's it. Because yes, I am still cutting part of the window, even though I told myself not to. And there. Just cut it, Belle. I'm cutting the window. Yes, I can work with acetate and glue, but give me a pair of scissors. Oh, dear me. Right, and again, I'm just pressing all of that down. Now, what I'm actually thinking of doing... There's a little bit that needs to be pulled there. What I'm actually thinking of doing... is wondering if I need to put some glue down with the double-sided sticky, because I'm not sure the double-sided sticky is going to work with the acetate. It should do, but yeah, just never know. These are very round. I did want this one as the bottom, so it's fine. That one's round too. I just love it. And because these Tim Holtz window, the acetate on top, have a slight tint to them, it's just really changed up. If I put it like that, it's really changed up of the colour between the two. I'm hoping you can see that without it shining. See how it looks much darker and grungier now? As if it wasn't amazingly dark and grungy anyway. Oh, I am so loving these. Now, I had this leaf by Tiff. My problem is it's vellum and I think it's going to stand out too much. And the way I can... yeah, I was going to use it. I'm not. The way you can check that is if you get a little scrap and like put it on there by taking the vellum off, you can check it. But I've decided I don't want to do that. Now we can come on and put some glue in these. Not glue. Double-sided tape. If you don't have double-sided tape, one of the things, or foam, or not tape, double-sided foam tape. If you don't have foam tape, one of the things you can do, guys, is you could get some thick chipboard bits or glue together several pieces of card to make them quite thick. So say on here, you could cut pieces like this and glue them around. So you could do that if you don't have foam tape. I wanted just the flat foam tape so I wouldn't be spending an eternity slowly but surely. And I'm not putting it all the way to the edge because this is white and I just don't want to see it. You can get black foam tape. I don't have that, unfortunately. And you can come in with inks and pens and all sorts to make your foam tape darker, should you wish to. Now I'm going to speed this bit up and just continue on this one, and then I'll probably do the next one off camera. Okay, so those are both done. Now you might have seen with this one, I made the exact boo-boo that I told you guys not to do. So you might have seen that the acetates weren't dry, so it lifted up. And now I do have a little bit of glue seepage back there, but actually not too much, so that's fine. So what I would suggest, if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, be more patient, leave yourself some time, maybe even allow the acetate to dry for a couple of hours before you then come on and try to put the foam on it. Also, make sure there's no gaps, because depending what kind of glue you're using, you don't want any gaps where your shakers can fall out. So I am going to start taking the tape off these. I want to do it super carefully. And again, this is going to take me forever. So yeah, just think about leaving the acetate a little while to dry. Remember to do exactly as I told you, which is smush out the glue, which is what I didn't do. Leave no gaps around with your tape. This would be so much easier if you just had foam tape rather than these little pieces, because you could cut it to length and it's not going to take you forever. One, to glue it down, and two, to then take all of the backs off here. So I'm not going to bore you with doing this. I'm going to just do this off camera. So guys, I've learnt 3 things that I'm going to share with you. And yeah, look, it looks like it snowed on my craft table. Firstly, I really suggest that either use a glue that's going to dry immediately, as long as it dries clear, or leave your piece to dry for a couple of hours before you do it. Secondly, definitely use foam tape, not these tiny squares, unless that's all you have, of course. But that took forever. It felt like I've just spent the whole day doing that. And it wasn't. But it definitely felt like that. It was as boring, sorry, I'm getting some more off my table, as literally watching paint dry. And thirdly, put the foam tape on your card piece, not on here. You're much more likely to not have it lifting off. Now, normally, that's what I would do. This time, I didn't do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the glitter. Could put it in here. We'll put the glitter and the sparkles. Now, it says moon dust, but my moon is on a grungy evening. Maybe it's near Halloween. I was inspired by this because I have a piece of, it's like a crystal or something, but it's meant to be stardust, and it's black and purple and sparkly. It really flakes all the time. It's very annoying, but very beautiful. And also it was making me think of a dark moon. Now, during the dark moon phase, which is just before a new moon, it's usually when you can't see the moon at all. Obviously, we've got full moons in here, but it made me think of that dark moon period, Halloween, all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted my moon dust to have black to it. So there's lots of different sizes. There's also some black stars in there, and then there's this iridescent one that really does catch the light. So that is what I wanted as my version of moon dust. And I really don't want too much, because I want to be able to see some of the background. So yeah, it's just on a dark moon when there's no moon in the sky at all. But maybe the dust that's falling from the moon that you can't see, although you can see it in this card, is has a sort of crystal, dark crystal star feel to it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. So this was definitely, should have been a super simple make, but oh my gosh, no. But it definitely challenged me, and I learned a few things. Even though I've made shakers for years, I've learned a few things, and hopefully from that you guys can do I want a little bit of black glitter? My problem with glitter is it tends to stick to things. So if I show you, can I find any acetate? I've got this little bit. If I was, first of all, let's move these. If I was to put some black glitter on here, let's put something underneath. when you shake it, you see how you still get some on the card, but I also kind of like that. Maybe I'll put just literally a pinch of black glitter, just a little bit. This might be a mistake, but just the smallest amount. Okay, that kind of works. I hope you could see that. And by doing it in this way, I'm giving myself more control over the amount of glitter that I do add. Okay. I don't often work with glitter, in all honesty, guys, because it gets everywhere. And now I'm trying to think. I need to hold this. I need to just hold it up. Okay. Good job I did, because the bit I want at the bottom is there. This can be anyway, so it doesn't matter. And now I'm going to carefully make sure these ends are matched up. Oh my gosh, maybe not attach my nail. Really going to push this down. Okay, we're not going to turn that around yet. We're going to have a turn around, a reveal moment. Once we've got this one, and again my nail got caught. Now these might be slightly bigger. This feels like it is, but I can come in with a craft knife and trim that down. Okay guys, are we ready? I can hear it. Can you hear that? Oh my goodness, look at that. Do you see how that catches the light? We have the embossing. There's not too much on there. Okay, this is shaking. Should we turn this round? Wonder why it all just wants to be on the moon. That's interesting. There should be enough space for it to move, but there's quite a lot just caught on the moon, and there's no glue in that middle bit, so that is interesting. But the rest moves. Just need to, I think I put too many. Hold on, let me try and do this. Okay, I didn't want to do that on camera because it involved a lot of me hitting my table with this quite hard. There's still a couple there, but now it's moving around a lot more. Now, I'm going to say we've almost finished. Almost. I did say I wasn't going to decorate, and I'm not really going to decorate. But we do want to add a little bit of something. And one of the things I want to add is some moths, because we know I love my moths. And I just think a moth would look beautiful on here. This needs a smaller one. Got some of this as well. I just want to add a moth. I just think the moth would look so beautiful. Now, I may hear you say, but Belle, the moth should be on the inside. Well, yeah, maybe it should. But I'm thinking that a moth, because we're trying to pretend that these are still holes, even though we've filled them. So what I'm trying to think is that the moth has got trapped in our room because it's come in one of the holes in the window. This is some packaging that Tiff sent me. So that is what I am going with. This needs to come down a little bit. I feel like this should be stitched. We haven't added any stitching yet to these. And I feel like the moth should definitely be on there. Like so. Do you know what else would work? If we actually use some, come on, why won't you stay? Some splatters would work really well on here too. However, again, I don't know what journal that I'm going to put these on. That's so pretty. So that needs to be done. I was going to use this one on here. So let's trim this a little bit. Could put it at the top, kind of like the lace at the top. And we could have the moth coming down, or just have the lace at the top. No, they have to be together. Have to be together. Like so. And I like that. I want to come in with a little bit more grunge on that though. And I definitely want to stitch. Need to add a little bit of stitching to these. So I definitely want to stitch the fabric to this. So I am going to go and stitch that together. I was just wondering, actually, I have a little bit, it's a vintage book page, not book page, vintage book spine. Yeah, that needs to be there too. Okay, so I am going to go and stitch these. Might even put it that way, have a little bit of the brown coming in. Stitch across there, then we're going to glue them on. All right, so I have these now. So I want to glue this onto here. Just a little bit of glue on this bit. I mean, you can ink these up too. You can really just do all sorts with them. Again, I'm going to wait to see what I'm going to do with these before. I want the dark moth, or do I want this brown moth? See, I kind of love the brown moth. Do you know what? We're just going to do it. Now, here's the problem. I need to glue the wings bit because I want the glue to not be on the acetate. I want it to be as much on the actual window. Right, I need to put a little bit here as possible because that just works better. Oh, I do. I think I want a word, but again, I don't know what I'm going to use these with, but I feel like they need a word of some sort. Kind of, let's move this over even more. Love it. Okay, and you little moth, we definitely need to be there. I'm hoping here's going to be fine too. Okay, right. My fingers are covered in glue again, so I need to just do that. And I'm just wondering if I want a word on my moth. Okay, so I pulled out some of the Tim Holtz chipboards pieces. Now, I am going to pull part of the back off here. And these bits that I'm going to pull would actually work perfectly as layering pieces if you don't have glue. Not glue, double-sided foam tape. I'm going to use this on here. All right then, and I'm going to cut these and here and this bit. So we have that one there. Cut this one. I'm going to have this, and I'm going to come on. You've seen me do this with the numbers with my sanding tool, and just sand these down to make them a little less perfect. And the chipboard underneath means you get this beautiful, that's what they look like when they're not done, get this beautiful kind of grunginess, which also then takes ink a lot better. Yeah. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to decide if I want to ink them or not, because I almost want to leave them as is because I just kind of love the grunginess of it. And the grey, there's a lot of grey on here. So what I might do is leave these ones uninked and do black inking for these. although there's already black on there, so maybe come in with a little bit of ground espresso just to pull in some of the brown of the window on there. And now I've done that, I actually really like it on this one too. Like so. So this one I've put Dearly Departed. The reason being that some of you might have heard me say it before, but I was raised believing that moths are the spirit of those who've passed, who are coming and visiting us. So I wanted Dearly Departed. That's how I was raised. I know when I've mentioned it before, lots of you have said you've never heard that before. I don't know if it's because I'm Irish. So I don't know, but I just know my gran always told me. And then it was passed down that moths are from, like I said, those who have passed on before. And see, now I just want it like that, because if I put anything underneath it, I feel like there's too much lace on this side then. So we're not going to do that. Yeah. And Lost in the Darkness, because it is moon themed. And our poor little moth seems to be a bit lost. I've really enjoyed this one, even though things again haven't gone quite to plan. That seems to be a theme at the moment with this week's makes. Can't wait for the rest of the week. Let me just hold on. And we have these. Now this can easily be put on a tag, guys, but honestly I just think it is going to look great as a cover on a journal with other bits. But we have our shaker, we have stars and black, and we have this faux effect of a broken window, and then we have the embossed tree lightning in the back, and our moon that I hope is going to glow. Same here, we can see some of those other texture bits. This one moves a lot better, although it seems to be over in the corner as well. This one moves a lot better, so I don't know why that one's stuck. But yeah, just a little bit of iridescent. I'm going to hold that right up so you can have a good look at everything. And down here we've obviously got some texture and bits. I actually love, because we used the packing paper and because the colour of the Tim Holtz vellum, window vellum on top has this kind of grey grunge look, this almost looks like you're seeing the moon through a mist rather than if it was white. This bit's gonna irritate me. I'm wondering if I can move it somehow without pulling the thing apart. And we have a few stars as well. So guys, I really enjoyed that one, even with the things that went wrong. That is shaker. We're going to just cross out the tag bit because I didn't do that. And moondust. And again, these are easy to do your own version of if you do not have the Tim Holtz pieces. I just really love them, and I do think it'd work. Imagine that on a mini journal. It's going to be so cute. And hopefully these do glow in the dark. I'm going to put a picture here if they do. If they don't, there won't be a picture. But if they do, there will be. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. And remember to take those tips that I gave you so that yours aren't more frustrating as mine became when everything started to lift. And you can see a little bit of the glue that's smudged there. I don't mind. To me, that adds a little bit. I'd prefer it wasn't there, like on here, but it is. So, you know. And I would have liked, I think, some black thread behind these, but on the small one, I don't want to add too much to it. And there is some here. You can see some of this white. So again, you can come in with, let me find my Sharpie. First of all, use black foam tape if you've got it. Otherwise, I'm just going to come in with a Sharpie or a black pen, and I'm just going to go around and basically colour those in. So that's fine. And I'll trim down any excess. I think I've got it pretty good. So that's good. That's it for now, guys. I'll be back again soon with another video. Please do like, subscribe, comment and share if you haven't already. I deeply appreciate it. But for me and my trapped moon moths, I hope you're having lots and lots of crafty fun. Bye for now.